Hello everyone, welcome back to Eat Sleep Brief. So today I'll be covering a topic that may be a little bit controversial. Um, if not controversial, you may not think that this is even possible. But first and foremost, I want to tell everybody and wish everybody, hopefully you guys had a great Christmas. Um, Also, this is going to be probably the last video of 2018. Um, Obviously, it's been a great year. This isn't going to be really a recap video. I'll release something like that a little bit later. Um, yeah, it's been a great year for the tank. Haven't had too many issues. I think the main issue, as you guys are well aware, has been the green hair algae. And that is pretty much 100% under control. The reason I haven't released the video, what I've noticed, the small patches of green hair algae that kind of stayed there, they're not growing anymore. So if I get in there and manually remove it, it'll pretty much be gone. I just need to obviously do that. And also I'm letting some more time go just to make sure that what I've been doing in my theory and everything can be replicated by you in your home reef tank, to ensure that my method is actually working. So what we're going to do now is pretty much jump right into this video, guys. So what this video is going to be about acclimating your coral. Now, before I start talking about this, I don't want to get you guys confused. First and foremost, temperature acclimating your coral is very important. What that is, also your fish, but we're only talking about coral today. What that is literally floating the bag to make sure the temperature or the water temperature of what the coral is coming in the bag or a cup or whatever the case is, matches the temperature of the tank. Number two, dipping your coral. That is 100% very, very, very important. Last thing you want to do is introduce a pest, nuisance of whatever in your tank that can ultimately sometimes kill most of your coral in your tank if you introduce the wrong pest. So I want to put that out there. I'm not telling you guys don't temperature acclimate the coral. That's very important. And I'm not telling you guys don't dip your coral. I don't care what dip you use. Personally, I like to use a Polyp Lab coral dip. It works great. I've noticed less stress. You can see the corals react a lot better to it. It's a lot softer on the corals, yet still kills everything you want to be killing as far as pests are concerned. So really, what I want to talk about, guys, is drip acclimating your coral. A lot of places you read, a lot of actually people you talk to are going to tell you you have to drip acclimate your coral. So in essence, in theory, what you're doing, you're allowing the parameters in your tank to match the parameters of the water that your coral is coming from. Now, me personally, I'm totally against that. I think you're wasting your time. I don't think you're doing your coral any justice whatsoever. Now, there's going to be you guys out there that are going to say, no, you're totally wrong. You have to do this to get the coral acclimated to your water parameters. But you know what the funny thing is? It's going to probably be the same person that tells you that you should never change, for today's video, alkalinity and calcium. You should never make a jump more than 0.5 of alkalinity in your tank. And you should never make a change of more than 100 parts per million of calcium in the tank. So where in the world do you think by you drip acclimating for 30, 40 minutes, an hour, even 2 hours, which I doubt a lot of you do, is gonna be a lot better than the coral, when we all very well know that a coral should never go through a change, and again, I'm only talking about calcium and alkalinity, of more than 0.5 of alkalinity and more than 100 ppm of calcium. So that's pretty much how I broke it down in my head. When I broke this down, I said, wait, everybody's telling me I should never do these sudden changes in coral throughout a day, right? Throughout a full 24-hour day. Then how the heck is it justified for us to do a drip acclimation for 30 minutes, even an hour, and the coral is going to be supposedly fine, right? It's not going to go into shock. To me, it makes no sense. It makes zero sense whatsoever. Um, but aside from making sense, I've actually talked to, I mean, I have at least 10 to 15 LFSs in my immediate area. I've talked to all my LFSs. I've talked to tons of online stores that specifically sell coral, that raise coral, that propagate coral. I've asked them all the same question, and I go to them, when I talk to the owner or the person that manages the corals. I ask them, do you drip acclimate your corals? They say, no, we don't. We just literally make sure that obviously the temperature matches. We dip them and then we throw them right in the tank. I said, interesting. So it was funny. Before I got started on this method, I tried it for myself, right? I got a few corals. I would obviously temperature acclimate, then dip them to get the parasites off, and then I would just throw them in the tank. And believe it or not, surprisingly, I noticed the corals open up a lot sooner doing it this way. I notice if I do it the way we've been taught, that you should be, drip acclimating them for an hour, 2 hours. I notice them get a lot more stressed. Obviously, I don't know why. I can only tell you, based off what I've seen. And what I've seen in my specific tank, is I notice a lot less stress. I notice a coral opens up a lot sooner than if you do that drip acclimation. So that's just pretty my method. That's pretty much my methodology, as well as my explanation. I just can never wrap my head around, people telling us your tank should never change more than zero point 0.5 or 100 parts per million of alkalinity and calcium, but yet, you doing a drip acclimation in an hour is going to be sufficient enough for the coral not to go into shock. It just doesn't make sense. How am I going to take all those 24 hours and break it up into that 1 hour drip acclimation? Again, it doesn't make zero sense to me. So I'm just pretty much here telling you guys, I believe you're wasting your time if you are doing the drip acclimation to your coral. I don't believe you're doing it any justice. I don't think you're helping it. Because again, unless you're doing a drip acclimation for 24 hours, then we can start and probably take this conversation, differently. But again, no one I know is dripping a coral for 24 hours. And I think what made me really confident to believe this method was all the coral propagation companies I talk. I mean, LFSs, as we know, they don't really specialize in growing the coral. They just receive the coral, try to keep it alive, in time for someone to buy it. But when I asked a lot of the big names for propagation, they said no, we do not drip acclimate them. And then I asked why, and they kind of told me the same thing. They pretty much said there's really no advantage to it. So that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully you guys didn't take this as a rant. I hope, if anything, I opened a lot of your guys' eyes and pretty much saved you a lot of time. And probably even happier coral at the end. Try it out. When you get your next coral, just obviously do your temperature acclimation for about 30-40 minutes. Then do your dip, and just put the coral in there. There's no need for you to be dripping water from the tank, into the container because you think you're helping out the coral. Now, there's going to be a few guys of you out there that are saying, well, the reason I do the drip is to bring the temperature up. Do you have any idea how much water is going to have to come out of your tank for the temperature to match? It's going to take quite a bit. So you're better off just floating the bag, get the temperature up, then quickly do a dip, and you're done. It's pretty much that simple. So we're going to wrap the video up here, guys. I'd really like to hear what you guys think. For all I know, maybe I am wrong. I'm not saying I'm a professional by any means. I've been doing this for about 1.5 years. But again, I can only go based off how my corals react, right? If I see a coral that opens up, sooner than doing another method, what does that tell you? Less stress, right? So let me know in the comment, guys, what you guys think. Am I right? Am I 100% completely wrong? Let me know your method, what you're thinking, and love to hear from you guys. So we're going to wrap it up here, guys. Happy New Year to everyone. Stay safe, eat a lot of food, enjoy time with the family, and let's have an amazing 2019, guys. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Happy reefing.